tell you anything. That was like real stupid. Ugh. Then they can just cry about it. It oozes of entitlement. So I wanted to talk about something that has been very prevalent in my life in the past 2 years or so, and something that has really gave me a lot of peace in my life and took away so much stress, and that's just boundaries. And I feel like I need to get the word out about boundaries, because I felt like I had a lot of misconceptions about them beforehand, and it's something that you should have, because you're entitled to have boundaries no matter who the other person is. Anyways, so I never felt like I was a people-pleasing type of person. I always felt like I could tell someone no. Like, if I don't want to do something, then I won't. Like, it was pretty simple for me, but I felt like I people-pleased in the way where I felt like I owed people, like, my energy if I don't want to give it to them at that point. Or I felt like I owed people personal information about myself, even if I wasn't ready to share it yet, or I just don't want to talk about it, like, at all. And so it would be interesting because it would always be like specific people. Like, if I didn't like somebody or I didn't feel close to somebody, I like had no problem or no guilt not doing those things. But it would be people that like I genuinely care about, who were close in my life, that I felt like I couldn't put up boundaries to not share certain things about my life, or not like give all my time to this person, because I felt like, you know, well, I like them, I owe it to them. I feel like if I were to tell past me, like, why did you feel like you owed them this information, I would probably be defensive and be like, oh no, I don't feel like I owe it to them. I just want them to get what they want or something. Like, I would probably try to like beat around the bush, but like I felt like I owed it to them. And I felt like I couldn't put up those boundaries with people because, you know, boundaries are for people that you want like distance from or something like that. But nobody should be entitled to like all of you and everything about you if you do not want that to be the case. It would be very draining to me because I was, and I still am, a very private person. I don't like telling people things if it makes me feel uncomfortable, especially if I know the type of person that you are. Because granted, just because they were close to my life does not mean that I was not aware of their flaws. And some people in my life like to talk, and some people in my life like to like judge, or if I share this, then maybe it would be invalidating. Like, they're like, I could identify these bad qualities in them, you know what I mean? Like, I can almost anticipate the response because I'm very aware of what the reaction would be, and I would not feel comfortable doing it. And even if I know that they would be very like welcoming or something, if I didn't feel comfortable doing it, I just didn't want to do it. And it just felt like it would be an obligation that I had to do. Like, and I feel like it's for a few reasons. Okay, so the main one is, I would just say, culture. So I'm Nigerian. I grew up Nigerian with a Nigerian family, and in Nigerian culture, you need to respect your elders. And I'm also Muslim, so that's like a duality, like culture and religion. You need to respect your elders. Like, even if you have a sibling who's like a year older than you, a few months older than you need to like respect them, which like, yeah, you know, okay. But I felt like growing up, like that mentality kind of turned into like respect means doing whatever they want. And if someone wants something from me, then out of respect, I need to do this. There's a lot of things growing up that like, if I didn't like, I would just be like, okay, I don't care about culture, I don't care about anything. If I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. But I feel like this is one of the things that like, even if I felt like it was a little like something I didn't want to do, subconsciously I would feel guilty or something for not doing it. Consciously I'd be like, you know, whatever, like I don't want to do that, so I'm not gonna do it. But like, it's the little things that would kind of seep out that I'd be like, oh, why do I feel like I need to tell someone this? Oh, because they're older than me, so out of respect I need to tell them this. And it's like, you need to respect yourself. Like, you don't have to tell anybody anything. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You don't have to spend your time somewhere you don't want to spend your time for the sake of culture. And I feel like that's something that like I had a lot of friction when I started setting boundaries, just because it was so against the status quo. And like, I realized how unhappy I was getting when I would spill my guts and feel like I needed to tell everybody everything, and I need to do things I don't want to do, and I need to give my energy in ways that I don't want to give my energy to. And honestly, in this whole talk, mostly I feel like I'm speaking about like the information point of view, because that's just more my experience of like people feeling entitled to know things about me just because of how close we are. And like, what? Like, that is probably the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I think that like another thing that I realized is that I used to have this friend, and one of the things she told me, we're not really friends anymore, but was I really like, she asked something very personal, and I at the time I didn't really feel that close to her anymore. And so when I refused to say it, she said, you know, best friends are supposed to tell each other everything. And girl, I was damn like 20 years old, and I was like, why does this sound like a Disney Channel like movie? I don't have to tell you anything. And like, that was the most blunt, entitled thing that has ever come out of her mouth. But I feel like a lot of people in my life were kind of like vibing with what she was saying, like, because we're friends, because we're family, they're entitled to these things. And they might not say it explicitly, but their actions say that. In that moment, I was like, what the heck? I don't have to tell anybody anything. And like, if someone in my life feels that way, then they can just cry about it, because I do not have to do anything. You don't have to do anything you don't want, and that's just it. Like, okay, I love drama. Like, I won't even lie, but not like, I don't like being in drama, and this like petty drama. I don't like big drama that like is gonna ruin someone's life, but like the little drama, I'm like, tell me about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's interesting, and I feel like anyone who says they don't like hearing about drama, they're just lying. But I never want to be the drama. So if there's something happening in my life that's a little too juicy, then you won't hear about it. Like, I can literally name 2.5 people. 2.5 people. Actually, I would say 3. I can name like 3 people. I mean, depending on what it is about, because you know, certain people in your life, you talk about certain things. But I feel like in the biggest things that I feel comfortable with is like, I would literally tell like maybe 4. 2 of them I'm related to. One of them I live with, and the other one is my girl. So like, and she's watching this video, you know who you are. Anyway, like, I don't feel comfortable telling a lot of people things. And honestly, therapy really helped me with discovering boundaries. Like, I started therapy when I was a mess. I'm still a mess, but like a lot better, you know what I mean? But I really did not think that was an option before therapy. And like, that's something that really got drilled into me these past like few years of doing therapy. I feel like my mentality before was just like, okay, since these are my emotions and these are my feelings, then I have to deal with it, and I shouldn't have to put this on someone else to not make me feel this way. And it would like why? Like, that was real stupid, number one. Like, I know that I wouldn't feel the same way if like someone was bullying me or calling me names. I wouldn't feel like, oh, I shouldn't tell them to stop what they're doing because it's hurting me. But like, in the way of like having these expectations or something like that, or pressuring me to do things I don't want to do, I felt like, oh, you know, these are my emotions, let me just keep to myself. Like, I don't have to like tell them to like stop, because like, who am I to tell someone to stop? And like, girl, like, that was like real stupid. And I remember like trying to find ways to like implement them in my life, because I didn't really, you know, sometimes you're like asking someone like, oh, how would I say this? Like, I felt like a lot of the times like it would be too like visual. Like, if I were to ask someone like, how would I set up boundaries, maybe they would be like, they'll say something like, you know, I'm setting up this boundary, so I will not answer this question, and from now on, just know that this boundary is in place and you shall not cross. I am never that type of person who's gonna spell it out for someone like that. I kind of have these two, it's so simple, these 2 go-to things. You don't have to tell anyone, honestly, that you're putting up a boundary, because they'll get the hint. They don't need to know the vocabulary for it. I would just say, I don't really feel like talking about that right now. I don't want to talk about it. If someone asks me like, why not? I don't feel comfortable talking about it. I don't feel comfortable. I feel uncomfortable. Like, as simple as that. And if they still don't get it, then walking away became my best friend. Like, physically walking away. Now, I got a lot of reactions from people after putting up boundaries. I've been yelled at. People have started acting like the victim, like, how can you do this to me? Like, we're best friends. Like, what do you mean? I've done this for you and you can't even tell me this. We tell each other everything. Like, I've had those reactions. I've had people turning it back on me, trying to tell me why I'm a bad friend, family member, whatever, because I don't want to tell them something. And it's just it oozes of entitlement. And I'm just like, ugh. All right, feel that way then. Like, go ahead and like bask in that emotion. Like, that's fine, you do you, but like, it's not going to change anything. Like, having a childish reaction to that is not going to change anything. And like, sometimes it is what it is, and it's not cute, honestly. Don't expect someone to be very respectful, because if that's the case, then great. But like if they don't respect it, then just be aware of that's very much a possibility that could happen. So some relationships ended because I felt like putting up this boundary. Some got better, but either way, it is so worth it, in my opinion, to put up those boundaries. And whether I lose somebody or whatever, it's just so much better to just feel comfortable like with myself, because I hated feeling like just uncomfortable, having to feel like I have to either choose between me being uncomfortable and doing what I don't want to do versus like having to deal with the response of them feeling uncomfortable because I said no. I was sick of that. And that's just a cultural thing. I feel like when somebody older than you want something, then you have to just deal with it, and you have to sit in your uncomfortability, I guess, to make sure that person is comfortable, whether that means like sacrificing your time for stuff you don't want to do, or your energy and whatever else. I'm just like, I just got so sick of feeling like I had to do things. Like, I hate feeling trapped. I hate people telling me what to do and that I owe something to someone. I don't owe anybody anything, and you don't owe anybody anything. Nobody owes anybody anything. And that's my hot take. Like, just because somebody tells me every single detail about their life does not mean that I owe it to them to tell them every single detail about my life. Like, that's just not... If I don't feel comfortable doing that, then I don't feel comfortable doing that. I realize that, you know, it's not always as black and white as like, okay, keep them in their life or cut them off. Like, you can have like a middle, and I feel like that middle is just putting up boundaries. Like, okay, I can talk to you about X, Y, and Z, and this person about X, Y, Z, or none of you guys about anything, or all of you guys about everything. Like, it is your life to build your relationships around however you want to build them. And you're not lying, you're not fake, you're not anything for realizing that that's what's best for you. So yeah, I think that's it. If you guys have anything that you would like to add in the comments, let me know. But I really enjoy talking about this. I feel like I could talk about it forever. I can probably go in a part 2 or something, but I just feel like boundaries have really changed my life, and it just makes me feel so light. So if you just feel heavy all the time, feeling like you owe somebody things about yourself, or that you have to do something even if you don't want to, and that goes for your mothers, your fathers, your sisters, your brothers, your dogs, like anything. Like, you just, like, if you don't want to do something, regardless of like the relationship to you, you don't have to. Yeah, that is about it. If you have anything else you would like to add to this conversation, leave it down in the comments below. But other than that, I will see you guys later. Bye.